Well, Deb, thank you so much. Talk amongst yourselves while I do a little housekeeping here. Well, we're going to continue with part 2 of the 8 Keys to a Healing Consciousness, the wonderful book written by Reverend John Strickland, and Susan's here today with the books. And we'll be starting the class next Sunday after church at 12:15. That's why we said bring a brown bag lunch, and even if the bag is purple or plastic, it doesn't matter. We won't ask you for paper or plastic. I always get confused over which is the right decision there. But we hope you all join us for lively discussion. We're not going to read the book, we're going to discuss the book next week, okay? So just to review last week, we talked about life is consciousness. So when we pray, and when our prayer team prays for you, we don't pray so much to fix out there as to heal consciousness, because the law of cause and effect is whatever's out there is projected or started from what's in here. Oops, altogether no oops. And that's why the world is so crazy right now, because we've all wanted something different. We've all been praying for change, for a new world, so to speak. And so as the old world leaves and the new world comes in, and it's like rearranging furniture in the house, everything looks a mess until you get it all back together again. So some people have even suggested this can't be true, but that we sometimes make things harder than they'd have to be. Anybody here guilty of that? Oops, altogether no oops. How did we do that? And the reason they said that is because we tend to think through the eyes of post-traumatic stress, that we project that our future is going to be struggle. Our future is going to be awful. We project that into the future, thereby creating a future with most more struggle. I call it post-traumatic stress projections. So it was even went on to say, where I read this, I thought it was really cute, that many people save for a rainy day. Anybody here save for a rainy day? And they said, what are you doing when you're saving for a rainy day? You're projecting the idea of we're going to have a rainy day, and we're going to have some crisis that we have to save for. Instead, it has been suggested, is Chris here? Chris, you got to listen up, he does our accounting. We need to have a line item in our account to save for a party celebration. Even if we only start out putting a couple bucks in it each week, let's start saving for a celebration party so that we can project that out into the universe and co-create a world with much celebration in it. So getting back to the review, last week we talked about the first 3 of the 8 keys, and I remind you again not to let their simplicity fool you. These are very profound, and that's why you're not reading the book in the class, but discussing them. The more you discuss them and take them in to do them correctly and consistently, over and over again, the power they have in your life. And the 3 we talked about last week are what we just sang about: gratitude, and I believe faith, willpower, the human willpower to make it happen. And most people use their faith to project faith in the struggle rather than the party, but we're switching our faith now to the party, not the struggle, remember? Okay. So number 4 is imagination. Imagine, and every time I talk about imagination, I always bring up my favorite fortune cookie that I happened to get one time that said, reality is for people who lack imagination. And I absolutely love that. Anybody here settle for default all the time? I used to always settle for default until I realized, I could project out there what I'd like to have happen. I mean, come on, Doris Day was wrong when she sang Que sera, sera, whatever will be, will be. No, we can affect that change. It doesn't have to be whatever comes along. Whatever we can imagine, the cause and effect of what's going to be coming. I was fortunate to grow up living in my imagination a lot because I had a lot of illness as a child. So I spent most of my life in my imagination. I tell you, I have been places and done things that most people don't even dream of because I read books, I imagined a lot, and I traveled far and wide through my imagination. And my sisters and I, the one thing great about the pandemic is we all started Zooming with our friends and relatives. And my sisters and I, all 5 of us, Zoom together once a month now. And we're starting to share pictures about growing up. And one thing we realized is we didn't have a lot, so we didn't have a lot of toys. And we were forced to use imagination. So we would go out into the woods and get sticks and stones and leaves, and we would build imaginary houses and imaginary stores. And we would get an old box, and that would be the cash register. And we would take peach pits for money. We were rich in peach pits, rich in imagination. And the reason I'm bringing that up is because that's the way our life is. You can be as rich as your imagination, and it doesn't have to be just peach pits. So we can imagine in your personal life a thriving personal life. And bless everything you already have with gratitude. As you bless it, the Hawaiians know this, whatever you bless increases. The Celtic people know this, they're always blessing things, it increases it. And then we will it. What do I want to will to have happen? Not just settle for whatever comes by. And have faith, not in the struggle, but faith in the party, faith in the celebration of what is about to be. And of course, we can put all our senses into it. For instance, if we're imagining the church, we can imagine a thriving church, and we can see the seats filled. It's already working. Look at us this morning. We can hear inspiring music. We can feel the energy of an active youth program. Can you feel that energy in the back rooms? Can you smell the food downstairs as we prepare for that celebration? All our senses go into it. So repeat to me with your imagination and your prayer words, I see divine power active in my life. Together, I see divine power active in my life. I feel the power of the presence. Together, I feel the power of the presence. I believe in the prospering power of love. Together, I believe in the prospering power of love. Active in my life and in this church. Together, active in my life and in this church. One of my favorite biblical stories, which I love to share, is the one where God says to Abraham, hey, Abraham, leave your father's house. Go to the land that I will show you, and as far as the eye can see is yours. As far as you can see. But, as long as it's in harmony with the divine purpose for you. But first, something needs to move. He didn't just imagine it. He said, leave behind. What he meant by your father's house is your old state of mind. We all had old states of mind that we grew up with. It's not parent bashing. It's just saying, you know what? I've got to move to a new state of mind now to create a new world. Go to this new state of mind, and as far as you can see, is yours. So we have to shift. And yes, while we're shifting from that old state of mind to the new state, it may look like chaos for a while we're shifting. So after imagination, number 5 in the book is authentic action. And that woo, right? The thought that came to mind was, remember the old song, somewhere, somehow, something's got to give? In order to create a new life, some movement has to take place. And it doesn't even matter how you're moving at first, just start moving. The universe will turn you in the right direction eventually. I love the art of feng shui, which is the Chinese art of placement. And in your homes and here, as we start moving things around, energy flows. As we start clearing clutter, energy comes in. The art of as within, so without, and as without, so within. Movement, movement, movement. Catherine Pounder said, if you want great, good prosperity in your life, start forming a vacuum to receive it. In other words, get rid of what you don't want to make room for what you do want. And Jesus was always telling people to do something when he healed them. To the blind man, he said, wash the clay from your eyes. And you can already feel the metaphysics in that. Change your perception. Get rid of that old perception of how you see things. Wash the clay from your eyes. See it differently, how it could be. Or he would say, go and sin no more. Not the way the traditional fundamentalists talk about sin, but don't go back to that state of consciousness that created this in the first place. I've healed you. Now, don't sin no more. Don't go back to that old state of mind, or it's going to come right back. Or my personal favorite was when he said, pick up your mat and walk. Pick up your mat and walk. Just get up and move. Do something, do anything. The universe will turn you in the right direction at the right time. So if you're comfortable, repeat with me, I am willing to change. Together, I am willing to change. Does that scare you? Do you mean it? Say it one more time. I am willing to change. I am guided to action. I am guided to action. By divine promptings, not ego's wantings. By divine promptings, not ego's wantings. All right. Let's go to number 6. We're just touching on these so you can really get into them in the discussion groups. The cause and effect of love. Remember, what's out there is coming from here. The cause and effect of love. Because for many people in the world, now certainly not us, right? But for many people, the cause and effect out there is fear and separation and struggle. And so we have to switch to the cause. If we want a new world, it has to come from love, not fear. From oneness and union, not separation. And so we switch that consciousness. And good old Catherine Ponder, if you've ever read Catherine Ponder, The Prospering Power of Love, there's some in the bookstore. She said, the thoughts of your mind have made you what you are. Oops, altogether now. Oops. And the thoughts of your mind will make you what you can become from this day forward. Oh, good, there's some grace there for me. How about that? The thoughts of your mind have made you what you are, and the thoughts of your mind will make you what you become from this day forward. From love, not fear. From grace, not struggle. And we need each other for that. You know, in the course of love, we were talking last week about how many of us were raised to be independent. But what does that do when you're raised to be independent? I can do it myself. You're eliminating each other. And we have to learn to be interdependent. Everybody working together, everybody giving and receiving, sharing together with each other, with all life, with God, with each other, with all life. And that includes your relationship with the medical field, with doctors. We're not Christian Science. Well, unity never teaches not to go to a doctor. We know that God is expressing through the medical team as well. God is expressing through vitamins. God is expressing through whatever modality you choose. And yes, we have to use discernment, I agree. But you don't have to do it alone unless you've got the consciousness of Jesus Christ. Anybody here have the consciousness of Jesus? If you do, please come up and I'll sit down. I know I'm not there yet. I got a long way to go. If you're comfortable, know that divine love moves through each one, and that's why the giving and receiving are one, that we're all in this together, all giving and receiving of our talents and our services to the world. In my union with divine love, I heal together. In my union with divine love, I heal. In my union with divine love, I prosper together. In my union with divine love, I prosper. In my union with divine love, I thrive. In my union with divine love, I thrive. And remember, divine love is moving through each one. Everywhere, always present. We don't have to do it alone. So the last one. If all else fails, you're going to love this. If all else fails, forgive. Ooh, oops, all together now. Oops. I love the book Thank and Go Rich. Not Think and Go Rich, but Thank and Go Rich. Pam Grout always says, You can't be freaked out and pissed off and expect to manifest. Anybody here freaked out or pissed off? You can't expect to manifest with those energy blocks. It blocks the flow to prosperity. So we forgive to let go. We forgive to clear the energy. You know, Reverend John Strickland, the author of the book Think and Feel and Heal, the 8 Keys, said the first hurt we received may have come from somebody else, from others. But the rest after that, it's all in you because you're holding on to the unforgiveness, and now the law of attraction keeps drawing more of the same to you until you let it go. Until you let it go. He said forgiveness is an absolute requirement to receiving spiritual or physical healing. Wow, an absolute requirement. Those are strong words. And I would add, you won't like this one at all, besides there are no enemies, only irritating people who call attention to our trouble spots. Isn't that an oops? Now this doesn't mean stay in a toxic relationship. That's loving yourself, setting boundaries. It doesn't mean you're condoning what happened. It means you're freeing yourself. You're freeing blocks to love's presence so that love can flow again in and through every area of our lives. So I double dog dare you to forgive everyone and everything. People, and sometimes it's situations, not people. Forgive the news media, the government, the world in general. Forgive old friends and relatives, ministers, members. Fill in the blanks. Fill in the blanks. Well, this is getting too serious. Let's close with something funny and then we'll go on. Old joke, the rabbi called together 2 brothers who'd been feuding for years, and he'd had it with these 2. He said, we're going to settle this old feud today. They didn't even know where it started. So the rabbi got the 2 to talk about it, to reconcile, and to shake hands. Wow, he thought he was really doing good. And then as they were about to leave, he said to them, now, the Jewish New Year is coming up. To honor that, I want you to each wish for the other. Each make a wish for the other. And the first brother turned to the other and said, I wish for you what you wish for me. And the second brother threw up his arms and said, see, Rabbi, he's starting it again. Forgiveness isn't always easy. It just means letting go. I'm going to wash the clay from my eyes and see this differently. Let's take that into prayer. We acknowledge the power of the presence moving in and through us in every moment, in every situation, in every relationship. And we allow that flow, directing what we can with our imagination, with our intentions, with our words and thoughts, and releasing and letting go when we're bumping against walls, when we're feeling the blocks. Releasing and letting go and allowing the flow to take us where we need to be. Trusting our life's purpose. Trusting our life is our spiritual path. Whatever is before us is for us today. To bless it, to accept it, and to allow divine love to move through it. And we do affirm this in the nature of the Christ. And so it is. Amen. Amen.
Amazing message, as always. Thank you. It was my birthday this month. Thank you. August 11th. And this is really just to this lesson and everything you just taught, and it's just sort of, I guess, my own personal anthem to it. So feel free to share in this journey. Well, I have been alone